Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Puggy Gamer Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ninja Gaiden II Black, and I wrote my little script on my computer this time so that I can actually look at the camera and not my phone. Oh, I know I said that Dying Light the Beast would be my next review, but I'm not finished with it yet. I've put like about 18 hours into it, and I think I'm about like halfway through the main story. I'm not really sure. But anyways, I know it's only been a week since my last review, but I just finished Ninja Gaiden Sigma on my Switch yesterday, and today I finished this game, Ninja Gaiden II Black. I'm not doing a review on Sigma because I beat it on the lowest difficulty just because I wanted to know how the story went before Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out. And in hindsight, the story, it really wasn't anything all that complex, which, spoilers for this review, I guess, I think was also the case with this game too, but I'm still glad that I finished it. I feel like I'd have to finish the other game on at least normal difficulty to be able to actually do a fair review of it. Maybe I'll finish Ninja Gaiden Black on my Xbox at some point, I don't know. Seems to be a pretty common theme with all the games I've reviewed on here so far, all of them. So far nothing in terms of plot has really stuck out to me much at all. I say this, and yet this video's, I guarantee, gonna be at least like 20 minutes long. I'm gonna try to keep this review on the shorter side. We'll see what that means. So I'm not really gonna get into the story too much because, as I said, I didn't find it all that interesting anyways. I guess to give a brief little synopsis, this game takes place 1 year after the first game, as in the one from 2004, not the arcade game or the NES game. This stupid name thing still frustrates me. And Ryu has to stop this black spider clan ninja named Genshin, who I'm pretty sure is like their leader. I don't remember, but he's trying to awaken this monster called the Archfiend, and Ryu has to stop him. There's some new characters and some enemies that show up in the story, but I just don't really feel like getting into it. I guess one thing worth mentioning, there's actually, you play as 4 characters in this game, but the other 3 you only play as them in, I think, like one level for each of them, if I'm remembering that right. It's not even, none of it's even like that important to the story. It's just kind of like a side thing. Anyways, yeah, I thought this story was rather predictable, but I will say I do really like Ryu in this game and in the one before it. We get to see just some pretty cool stuff in some of the cutscenes. Ryu definitely doesn't show a lot of personality in either of these games. He's a very quiet and stoic character, which I don't really think that's a bad thing, but after I've played action games like, you know, Devil May Cry 5 with characters like Dante and Nero and Virgil, which I thought all of them had like a ton of personality to them, and Bayonetta from, well, the Bayonetta games definitely has a distinct attitude about her, and I think that these characters are just a lot more memorable and entertaining in the stories of their games compared to a character like Ryu. It probably sounds like I don't like Ryu, but I do. He's more of the strong, silent type of protagonist, which means he doesn't have as much, you know, charm as other characters, but he more than makes up for it with all the cool stuff he can do. You can tell he takes his job very seriously, and one thing I think is really interesting about him is that he sort of falls into that gray area between a hero and a villain. He's definitely not evil. He's doing all this stuff to save the world and whatever, but in the game before this, he's motivated so much by just rage and vengeance, and if you've seen any gameplay from any of these games, you know that he is absolutely brutal when it comes to fighting. He saves people by doing what he does, but I don't know if I'd say that he's a hero. He's probably more in line with an anti-hero. He kills just about everybody he fights, and he does it viciously with like no remorse. I mean, it's self-defense technically. He's killing the guys that are trying to kill him, but he's such a good fighter. Like, it's always said that he's like such an incredible ninja that's really skilled with everything. I feel like he really doesn't have to be as violent as he is. I feel like he enjoys fighting, not in a sadistic way, but just because of the adrenaline and whatnot. I know he went through all kinds of crazy training to become this master ninja, but he definitely doesn't hold back anything at all. And I'm really glad he's coming back for Ninja Gaiden 4, even though he's not going to be the main protagonist. I'm hoping he's going to have a similar role to Dante in Devil May Cry 5, like every other game. Well, I guess not, probably not 4, but definitely not 4. I remember they just sort of shoved him into that game, shoehorned him in there just so people wouldn't get mad about Nero being the only character. But yeah, for Devil May Cry 5, Nero was very much the main character of that game, but Dante, he still had an important part in the story, and you still got to play as him a pretty decent amount. I wouldn't say that he gets plenty of his own time in the spotlight, I guess is what I'm trying to say. In terms of this game's music, I'd say most of it's fine. I've really got nothing to say about the music. I think that everything here fits what's happening pretty well. I wouldn't say any of the music's bad. There's just nothing that I thought was super amazing or unique or like all that memorable. I think it's all just perfectly decent. Don't really have any complaints. Now, as for the gameplay, the combat is of course the focus of this game. You can explore levels a little bit, like in Ragebound, to find some optional items and collectibles and stuff, but for the most part the levels are pretty linear, and you can even hold the button that resets the camera and have it face in the direction you're supposed to go, so you can't get lost. And in this regard, I think this game is an improvement over its predecessor, which had some pretty open levels that I kept getting lost in at points. There were several times when I had no idea what I was supposed to do or where I was supposed to go, but thankfully in this game that wasn't an issue at all. I like my action games to be linear. I like for the focus to be mostly on the combat. I don't mind some puzzles and stuff here and there, but I don't like having to roam around for like 20 minutes trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do to even progress. And another thing in regards to the levels that I think this game does better is the variety in the environments. In the other game, you're backtracking a lot and exploring a lot of the same areas, and there's not a ton of variety overall. There's definitely still some, but a lot of it does start to feel kind of samey, at least it did to me. But this game does have a lot of variety in the locations, which I think makes things more interesting. So, the game that I'm reviewing is Ninja Gaiden II Black, which is a remaster of, I think, technically Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, the re-release on PS3. And it has some elements of the original Ninja Gaiden 2 and the Xbox 360 added in. I've heard that some people say this game, and well, I think it's pretty much universally agreed that Sigma 2 is inferior to the original, and people say that this game is also, but I haven't played the original, so I don't know if I agree with that. I also heard that they apparently lost the source code for the original version, and that in Sigma 2 they had to significantly scale down the amount of enemies that you're fighting on the same screen at the same time, because I heard the PS3 just couldn't handle it. It couldn't run the game well if they had kept it the same as it was on the 360. So maybe they had to use Sigma 2 as the base for this remaster. I don't know. Maybe this was the best they could do. Who knows? But yeah. So this is an Unreal Engine 5 remaster, and because of that, the graphics look great. Their lighting effects are all really good. The character models are really well detailed, and I think it's just a really crisp, like clean looking game. It just looks really nice. Now onto the combat. The game's combat is fast, really fast, and I think that's really what sets these games apart from other action games like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. Those games do still have some like elements of, you know, speed and quickness to them, but this game, it's like everything is moving super fast. Like, anyways, you've got a lot of the pretty standard moves from action games, like light and heavy attacks and a dodge and a block and a counter, but everything's just happening so quickly. Like, all the enemies are quick, or most of them. Some of them definitely aren't, but you need to be quick. You get 9 different weapons in this game, which I was pretty impressed by. I thought, like, just when I thought I had all the weapons, I'd get another one. And they all feel fairly different, except for me. There's one that might be kind of similar to I don't know. There were 2 weapons that I really didn't use much at all. But, you start off with the Dragon Sword, which is Ryu's main weapon, and it's fun to use because it lets you cut enemies' limbs and heads off, and it's a pretty good balance between speed and power. And my favorite weapons would have to be the Falcon's Talons, which are basically like Wolverine claws on Ryu's hands and feet. And you can just punch and kick enemies all over the place with the claws and slice them to shreds. It's awesome. I love it. And my other favorite weapon is the Vigorian Flail, which was in the previous game. And they're basically nunchucks with blades attached to them, and Ryu can swing them so quickly. Like, it's in Spain, he just keeps swinging it around at blistering speeds, and it's so fun to do combos with. And yeah, this game's insane speed is what makes it so fun and satisfying to me. It's so awesome seeing Ryu hit enemies with a bunch of slashes and then finish them off with like a decapitation or slicing their arms off and stabbing them. Like, all the attack and finisher animations in this game just look so good. It's so crisp. You can pull off a ton of different combos with each weapon. There's gotta be like at least a couple dozen different techniques and combos for every weapon. It's a little ridiculous just how much you can do. And a lot of them are just lightning fast. It's pretty flashy, sure, but it isn't. It is not just style over substance. It's rewarding, and I play this on PS5, my digital PS5, which is why I don't have a physical copy of the game. But yeah, I mentioned this because I was playing with the PS5 controller, obviously. And maybe that could be why, but it really felt like I could just feel the weight of every single hit and strike that I made. It's all just so fun. The combat in these games is so addictive and smooth. It never really feels like you're forced to slow down much in fights. I really only have 2 major complaints with the gameplay. My first is that sometimes the camera acts up and it makes it hard to see where Ryu is, and there were some fights, like the staircase fight, which was like infamous because I remember in the previous versions of the game it would make the game just completely crap itself out with the frame rate, and it would be running at like 10 frames a second. But you're fighting a bunch of ninja dudes that are all dressed in black, and so it made me hard to keep track of how Ryu was. It wasn't super frustrating, but it definitely got pretty annoying at some points. And my other complaint is that I feel like, at least on normal difficulty, which is what I beat this game on, some of the fights, not so much with common enemies, but boss fights definitely felt too easy for me. I mean, the final boss, yeah, when I fought the final boss, I didn't even die once on any of the phases for it, and I didn't even use that many healing items. I was surprised when I was killing some of the bosses in this game in like 20 to 30 seconds. I just hit them a few times and they just die like that. Even like late game bosses were kind of a joke, and I was expecting them to really, push me and test my skills, but no, I think there were only a couple bosses in this game that took me more than maybe like 2 attempts to beat. Like, it really wasn't that difficult at all for me. A few times I was actually convinced that I had the game set to easy mode, but I didn't. It was always on normal mode the whole time, and it just didn't feel balanced to me. Like, when I think of a game's normal mode, I think of something that has like a generally good balance between like being, it can still be challenging, but it's very fair. This didn't really feel like that. I mean, the odds were in my favor, I guess, but still, it just felt a little too easy. Definitely wasn't super easy or like brain dead. I still had to pay attention and actually try, but yeah, for a series like Ninja Gaiden, it's known for having some of the hardest games ever made, this wasn't nearly as much of a struggle as I thought it was going to be. I'll probably replay this game at some point on hard mode, and maybe then I'll get more of the challenge that I thought I was going to get. But yeah, that's about all I've got to say. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is a super fun action game. I'd recommend it for sure. I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. The gameplay is great, the graphics are great, and I had a really fun time. Next, I'm going to be playing Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, which I have on my Switch. I got the Master Collection on that. I guess I can show you. There's Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I beat that yesterday, and then where is it? Yeah, got Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on there. And yeah, so I'm gonna be playing that, and whenever I do finish it, I'm also gonna do a review of it. I've heard quite a lot about this game, especially the original Ninja Gaiden 3, which Razor's Edge is a re-release of Ninja Gaiden 3. But I'm gonna get to that when I review it. I'm gonna try to finish it before Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out. I've heard that this is the hardest game in the 3D trilogy, Xbox trilogy, whatever you want to call it. So maybe I won't be able to beat it before the 4th game comes out. Maybe I won't be able to beat it at all. I don't know. I will get to Dying Light though, eventually, I promise. I will have a review of that game. Anyways, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, and I will see you guys later. Bye.